Millions of people all over the world have watched me do exorcisms on our Exorcism channel. But what's going on inside my mind while I'm staring down the devil? I want to take you inside an exorcism. We're going to do an anatomy of an exorcism while you watch. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube Exorcism channel. Just hit the notification bell. So let's take an example here. This is an exorcism of a woman who was in one of our seminars, just sitting there, watching me, listening to me, and all of a sudden, she goes berserk. She gets very, very violent, and men jump up to grab her and restrain her. What's happening here? The demons are upset. They're angry. We're talking about God. We're talking about people getting free from demons, and they don't want this woman to know about that. So she jumps up, she starts growling and screaming, and these guys are hanging on to her. It's very violent. Some people in the room are terrified. Other people are just bewildered about what's going on. So one of the first things I try to do is get her to go down. So I take some anointing oil and I put it on her head, which is the symbol of the Holy Spirit, and I push the demon down. Because if all we're getting is violence and screaming and grunting and groaning, we're not going to get anywhere. So I got to get the demon down so I can talk to the woman, find out who she is and what's going on. Now, it doesn't want to go down. You mean you can hear me saying, go down, go down. This thing doesn't want to go down. It wants to fight. Well, there's a time to fight a demon. This is not the time to fight. We know she's got a demon, or she wouldn't be acting like this. So I'm trying to force that demon down. Takes a little while. Finally, I get her down. Somebody tells me what her name is. And then I try to find out some information. What's going on? And why is this happening? Why is it happening now to this woman? In my conversation with her, she's a 40-year-old single woman. But here's the key, her ancestry. That's almost always the key. She's Dutch, Irish, and Scottish. Now, why is that so important? The Dutch are really stubborn as a race of people. The Scottish are very violent in their past. Clan warfare, they're always killing one another. And then the Irish, that's easy. Druidism, human sacrifice, witchcraft, going back for millennia. And then I find out something else, that this woman had 7 deliverance sessions with a prayer team there, but they couldn't get her free. I know now there's something stubborn there, and there's something to do with money.
And they're demons?
That's a clue.
It's all about the guilt. And Mammon. Did you meet him yet? Oh yeah.
And why am I bringing up the spirit of Mammon? Because Mammon is the god of envy and greed and money. Remember Jesus said, you can't serve God and Mammon. You're going to love one or hate the other. You've got to make a choice. So, the Dutch ancestry, sacrifice to Mammon was very common back in those times. If people wanted money, they did a blood sacrifice.
I want you to say, whatever it was that got antagonized tonight, and caused me to be so violent, I want it gone.
Now, why did I lead her in that kind of prayer? Because I need her will to be engaged. An exorcism is not just about me and the demons. That's the Hollywood way of looking at it. It's the engagement of the person, their will determining, I don't want these demons anymore.
You've been awfully calm. Why are you being so calm? Is that confidence or elusiveness? Avoidance or bravado? Which is it, huh? You tell me, Jezebel, which is it?
How did I know that was Jezebel? Number one demon that I deal with. If you watch our YouTube Exorcism channel, you're going to see a lot of Jezebel exorcisms. Jezebel has an attitude. It's a demon with an attitude, and Jezebel has a certain body language and the way that she expresses herself. And Jezebel often works with Mammon. So I had some clues about what might be going on. So now I'm going to confront Jezebel.
Jezebel, you give me the answer. What is it? What is it? Boy, for a little gal, she is strong.
Oh, yes, very strong.
What is it, Jezebel? What didn't they get? Answer me! Get your eyes open and look at me. I command you by Christ. What didn't they get? Answer me! Look at me! You want me to take this sword and stick it through you? Huh? Do you?
People see me do that all the time during exorcisms. What's that all about? The Bible in Hebrews 4:12 says, the Word of God is a sword. So what I do is I speak into the realm of the supernatural, the natural of the physical Bible representing an actual sword. And many times it works, it terrifies the demons. And when I touch the person with the Bible, they feel like a sword is going through them.
Is that what you want, Jezebel? You want it?
No.
The sword, the spirit.
Oh, no.
Torment you. Torment you. What is the unbroken curse and evil that they have not yet found? Answer me.
Did you hear that growl? That's the demon. But what was I looking for? The unbroken curse. Why? Because this woman has already received some ministry, and it wasn't successful. It wasn't completed. And even now, this demon is still struggling and fighting. I mean, I've got guys holding her arms. You can't see, but I got a guy on the floor hanging onto her feet because she was trying to kick me. Why should this demon be so strong? Because there's something we don't know yet. And I need to find out what that is.
What is it? Answer me!
Joseph Smith.
Oh, really? She's got Mormons in her ancestry.
Surprise! This was completely unanticipated. I was looking at the Scottish, I was looking at the Irish, I was looking at witchcraft, I was looking at the Dutch. And then I say, what's the real source of power? And she says, Joseph Smith Jr. Maybe you don't know who that is. The founder of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The Mormons. You're going to find out why that's significant.
Sister, right? Joseph Smith Jr. Ah.
Her grandfather helped build the Mormon church.
Now we find out. Her grandfather helped build the Mormon church. Why is that significant? I'm not going to have time to go into everything about Mormonism. You could read our book on world religions. We have a huge section there on the subject of the Mormon church. But Mormonism is tied in with Freemasonry, and that's tied into, historically, some very dark things.
Jezebel, your spirit of child rape, polygamy, and lust and perversion,
Sacrifice.
and sacrifice. Well, you got that from the Masons, didn't you?
See how I'm putting all the pieces of this together? The Mormons, the Masons. By the way, interesting insight. The guy behind her is an ex-Mormon and went through one of our encounters, and I did an exorcism on him. Now he's helping by hanging on to her. Is that cool or what? So now I know there's some child molestation and rape and incest issues here, because what was Mormonism founded on? Polygamy. Many wives. They lost track of how many wives this guy Joseph Smith Jr. had, and sometimes these were child brides. So by law today, this was child rape that was taking place back then. But it was all done in the name of religion.
Moroni, look at me. I bind Moroni.
All right, who is Moroni? Moroni is this angel, so Joseph Smith Jr. said, who brought to him these golden plates which were to replace the Bible as the truth, because, as the angel said, all the other religions are wrong and you are now going to restore the truth of Christianity. So this Moroni, if you ever seen a Mormon temple, now most churches, got a cross on the top. Mormon temples, what do they have on the top? They have this angel with a big trumpet. That's Moroni. In my cosmology, spiritually, that's a demon.
And Jezebel and Mammon is one. Get up and face me, Jezebel.
Did you see the look on that demon? I'm tied in Freemasonry and the Mormons. Now I'm going after Jezebel.
Say, I, Jezebel. I command you by Christ. Say, I, Jezebel. I command you. Get up and face me fully and say, I, Jezebel.
I,
Jezebel.
Jezebel.
With Mammon. With Mammon. Say, with Mammon.
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 Look at me.
Mammon.
Leviathan.
All right, now what am I doing here? I'm bringing together all the demons under a central authority so we can get rid of them all at once. So I know Jezebel's there. I already saw Jezebel. I know Mammon's there. But who's Leviathan? Leviathan is one of the 7 princes of hell. Very powerful serpent demon, and he's always tied in with the Lodge in Freemasonry, which is tied in with the Mormons.
Say it.
Leviathan.
Napoleon.
Napoleon!
Did you hear that scream from Apollyon? Now, who's that? Once again, Apollyon is the angel of the death angel, the demon angel of the bottomless pit that's going to rise up in the last days. Apollyon is the spirit of death and destruction. And he's one of the main spirits who's part of Freemasonry, and Mormonism came out of Freemasonry, hence this is all tied together. So now I deal with Apollyon, and the minute I mention his name, notice what happens. You get that guttural response.
One! Oh,
What's that got to do with this?
September 11th.
What's that got to do with it? Huh? Well, the ultimate god of the lodge is Islam. And by default, Mormonism. Look at me. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So I bind to you all the gods of Islam.
Why did I bring Islam into this? What's that got to do with anything? Well, remember the link of the Mormons and the Masons? In Freemasonry, if you get to be a Shriner, which is the top of the top of the top, they give you this little hat called a fez. All right? What's on that fez? The crescent of Islam. In fact, what people never tell you is at the highest levels of Freemasonry, they start out looking very Christian. You get to the top, guess what? You renounce the God of the Jewish and Christian faith and embrace Islam. I know that from having worked with so many people in exorcisms coming out of Freemasonry and Mormonism, and I detected that spirit was there.
Say I have no more right.
Huh?
Say I have no more right.
I have no more
Right
right
to this woman.
to this.
Woman.
I hate her. I hate her.
Say to, look at me. Say to this woman. To this woman.
To this woman.
Of future generations.
Future generations.
Now let me interrupt for a moment and explain what's happening here. I'm doing what I call my protocol of exorcism. In our International School of Exorcism, we teach our students a step-by-step process. We don't reinvent the wheel. I've figured this out over 4+ decades of ministry, that if you get the demon to say the right things, you break his power. And that's what I'm having him do. And right there, one of the most important things they never want to give up is the right to future generations. In other words, the attitude of this demon, you get me out of this person, but I'll be back to the future generations. So we always break that.
I bind
All spirits of lust and perversion.
all spirits of lust and perversion.
Child molestation.
Child molestation.
And incest.
And incest.
Especially incest. Incest. That's a strong one.
Incest is one of the most powerful demons I deal with. Of all the sins of the human race, there's nothing worse than incest. And there's no demon that's nastier than incest. How do I know? Once again, the link back to the Mormon church, which in its early founding was polygamous. So there was incestuous activity going on. They may have called it multiple wives, but the reality is it was incest. And that demon is passed down through the generations, through the Mormons and the Masons.
So we lift the curse of Joseph Smith Jr.
Joseph Smith Jr.
Just a moment ago, I had also identified what the chief spirit was. So we've talked about Mammon and Napoleon and Leviathan and Jezebel. Lucifer. Lucifer is the god of the lodge. He's also, anybody who's been through a temple ceremony in Mormonism know Lucifer is represented there in that ritual as God. So I know Lucifer's at the head of this whole thing. So now the demon has renounced his rights. Here we go. We're going to cast the demon out.
On your knees, Lucifer, before God and before the people of God.
You know I won't do that.
You don't have a choice. I'll put an angel on your right shoulder and your left shoulder, and the Lord himself, whose heel you bruised, puts his foot on your head. Bow before Jesus Christ.
Now, why, after all of this, when it seems like I've got it all wrapped up, am I making this demon bow? And remember, this is the host, the woman that I'm working with. So the demon is part of this woman's whole physical, mental, and emotional system because she's demon-possessed. So why make the demon bow? It's Lucifer. It's in the Bible. Isaiah 14. He wanted to be above God. So humbling Lucifer is a way to break his power. And since he's physically in her, by getting her on her knees as a sign of submission to God, we take away Lucifer's power.
Bow. Bow, Lucifer. Bow before Christ. Bow. Bow before Christ. I command you. We all command you. Look at me.
Look at that thing. He does not want to bow, does he?
We demolish your pride. How are you fallen from heaven? Oh, Lucifer.
I'm quoting Isaiah 14 there.
You are brought down like a corpse. Say, I, Lucifer. Say it. I, Lucifer.
I, Lucifer.
With Jezebel.
With Jezebel.
Eyes open. And all this kingdom.
And not the kingdom.
Look at me. All this kingdom.
Not the kingdom.
All the kingdom. All the kingdom.
Did you hear it? Not the kingdom. They might give up one or two demons, but demons have what I call an infrastructure of evil. Through Christ, we're bringing the whole thing down to demolish everything that the devil has done in this woman's life.
I need you to say all the kingdom.
The kingdom
Of the Mormons.
of the Mormons.
The Masons.
The Masons.
Look at me. We receive.
We receive
Look at me. Judgment.
judgment.
Look at me, Lucifer. Say, we go. We go.
We go.
Now.
We go.
Now.
We go.
Now.
Now.
To
To
the pit. Say 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 pit. We command you. Say pit. Go to the pit. Say pit. Say pit.
Say it.
I got to stop there. Couple of things. First of all, this thing does not want to say pit, the pit of hell. It does not want to go back to hell where it belongs. And so it's fighting. It said everything else, and I've seen this many times. When they get to that last word that seals the deal and gives up their power, they fight not to say the word pit. And I just keep forcing the issue. Pit, pit.
We cancel every curse that you speak in that tongue. Say pit. Pit. Come out, in the name of Jesus. Come on, come on. Get out. Get out. Come back to us, Amber. She'll be okay now. Just understand that.
It's over. The exorcism is finished.
Spiritual freight train just ran over you. We'll be back in a moment. God bless you. Give the Lord a hand. You feel pretty good.
I feel pretty good. Tuckered out, but good. A release, a freedom, and just a peace. Peace is the best way to put it.
You're
Praise
right.
Jesus. And anybody that doesn't believe there is not demons, you just saw this happen tonight. So come to Bob Larson.
That is an exorcism. This woman is free. You see now all the different steps, the twists and turns that it can take. But the person who's trained properly knows what to do. That's why we have our International School of Exorcism, so people can learn this stuff. And you, by watching this on YouTube, can discover much about how to fight the devil. So make sure you subscribe to our Exorcism channel. My Exorcism channel, where we show stuff like this all the time. Just hit the notification bell so you can see other exorcisms like this. This woman, who has suffered so much, torment her whole life, is now free through the power of Jesus Christ. If you'd like to learn more about spiritual warfare, we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and see all the other ways we can teach you about how to overcome evil in your life. A one-stop place with all the information at your fingertips is our website, boblarson.org. There you can see how to take the free demon test to see if you have a demon. You can also see what books we have available. I recommend, if you're looking for one to get started, our book, Curse Breaking. Also, at the website, you can learn how to enroll in our International School of Exorcism and to have your very own virtual one-on-one spiritual encounter. All these opportunities, by God's grace, we make available to you so that spiritually you can know how to get free, stay free, and live free.
Your financial support and prayers make it possible for us to bring hope for the hurting and freedom to those in spiritual bondage. For the latest information regarding ministry outreaches, go to boblarson.org or call 303-980-1511.